Okay, I even primed this one. What do I mean by primed? I already got the title of the video on the whiteboard. BMI versus blood pressure as a good health indicator. That's the topic of this video. And I feel that anybody making a video about a good health indicator should probably talk about their health at the moment. So as I'm the one talking, I'm going to take my own standard and apply it to myself. And am I in good health? I went to the dentist, got my teeth worked on, still have an uneven bite, still need to get into some other doctor appointments, but taking it slow because I don't want to crash mentally, because I've found with my health, if I push too far too fast, I can crash and then I don't get anything done. So taking it slow, one step at a time. I'm gaining weight. I'm gaining weight because we got a pizza oven and we've been working on perfecting pizzas for my grandma's 91st birthday party. We're gonna do, everybody kind of makes their own pizza, and because we're learning how to use this pizza oven we got about a month ago, there's been a learning process to it, and like it's been an interesting experience because it's my parents, so far as we can, it's been communicated, it's their first time with pizza dough. I learned to cook pizza and cooking. I went to a cooking school for Italian food when I was in high school, so pizza and making pizza dough from scratch and stuff like that is not new to me. So I'm not as stressed out about it as everybody else, so I've been eating more of the food. I'm like the taste tester of the group, and so we've been having a lot of pizza, and by a lot of pizza I mean like it will be like 4 to 6 pizzas a night, multiple times a week, just to work on perfecting the dough and the thickness of the crust and the toppings and stuff like that in preparation for this party specifically. So I've just accepted a month of weight gain. So that's my current health. So we'll move on to BMI versus blood pressure, and we're going to kind of like just talk through some points for each of them. So there's BMI, and there's blood pressure. So this is kind of a nuanced thing because I am a woman. For whatever reason, and I think it kind of was, I don't know the origins of like the theories. Like this is the theory. It's not meant to measure anything real. It's supposed to provide an approximation of like physique, but like it's supposed to be like body fat, but it's really inaccurate about body fat. So my experience with both of these, let's start there. I have never had, or at least not to date, I have not had an unhealthily low BMI, which is less than 18.5. The lowest I've gotten was at 18.6 or 18.7. My sister, Miss Anorexic, and proud to be anorexic, then tried to convince my parents I had an eating disorder and was too skinny, so then I had to go into the doctor, and then the doctor was like, no, you're not too skinny, actually. You're under fat, which means I had like a body fat of like 12%. So BMI as like an approximation of body fat is very wrong, and like there have been men I've known who'd have like 3% body fat and a BMI of like 20. So it's, for body fat, it's very inaccurate. How did it end, that story? So I ruled I did not have an eating disorder. I was dieting, and perhaps extreme dieting, and I had low body fat. That was the takeaway. And then they forced me to gain weight, which was terrible because I was an athlete, and by forcing me to gain weight, my body doesn't hold weight well. It puts a lot of weight on my lungs and my rib cage. And so what happens is I already have asthma, and it like amplifies my asthma when I gain weight. So it's actually really difficult for me to breathe. So if I want to be in good health, I have to maintain a lower weight to be able to breathe and just kind of function normally. And so I was on swim team, and I was being forced to gain weight, and my times were atrocious. And then after they made me gain weight, I just lost the weight, went back down in body fat, and dropped like 3 seconds off of my 100-yard breaststroke time, and it kept dropping. And for me, being lean, having low body fat and a low body weight actually results in better athletic performance. So that's my experience with BMI. Is I have had a doctor abuse it on me. A lot of people get counseling for stuff like that. Why didn't I? Because it's a medical industry. These are both used by the medical industry. And if I go and see a doctor for counseling about something in the medical industry to me, what good does that do? Because it just puts more money into the medical industry. So I stopped I was like, no, you guys, I don't know if this is intentional or what, or if this is just a really like misbehaving doctor, like with bad conduct. Whatever the case, I was like, I'm not going to give people like the health industry, the medical industry, more money because they abused me. Like, come on. So I don't have a great experience with BMI because it's been, I have experienced abuse. It's abused by doctors. At the expense of patients' health. Like, did the doctor ever take into consideration the negative effect it had on my respiratory system because I had asthma? No. Did they take into account the fact that it affected my physical performance and my mobility and stuff like that? They didn't care. Like, so, and I was a healthy weight. Like, so, and my sister, 16 point something BMI to this date. Oh, she might be more like 17 point something. The medical industry is like, oh, she's okay. But I, the person who had 18.6 or 18.7, was at the bottom of healthy, but still healthy, was the one that had to gain weight. That's just, we'll go with the kosher version. That's just really screwed up. Like, so based on my life experience and the fact that I can have a BMI of 18 point something and body fat of less than 10%, and this is supposed to be an approximation of body fat percent, just like, no. And it's not just that, it's that no matter what my BMI has been, so I've been in the healthy range and in the overweight range, I always get crap about my weight when BMI is used. No matter how healthy I am, no matter how overweight I am, I always get crap from doctors about my BMI. So in my over 29 years of existence, why do we use this? And this is not an anomaly. Everyone I know, including the people with eating disorders, at some point in time get slammed by this in a way that has negative health impacts. Like, I'm still recovering from the abuse of authority that made me gain weight. Like, it's like 15 years of emotional damage right there. Now I will not give them money or time and that kind of stuff and that. So let's move to an alternative. And so this has actually been a debate in my lifetime. It might actually precede my lifetime. Doctors know BMI is crap at what it's supposed to do. So what's the alternative? That's the thing, is it's meant to be there to, okay, you might be having some health problems. How can we get that turned around? What does this mean? And so BMI was introduced. It doesn't really work. It's kind of generally accepted that it doesn't work, but that does not mean there's an alternative to replace it. So that leaves blood pressure. I'm on the low end of healthy to under healthy. What do I mean is, like, I have healthy to low to very low blood pressure. And when I say very low blood pressure, I mean like, I'll have, like, so a lot of people go based on the top number for blood pressure. I'll have less than 70, which, like, people are like, that's not even possible. And it's like, oh, it is possible. It doesn't mean I feel good in a low blood pressure attack, but it still happens. Yeah, that's just a peculiarity about me. My grandma was the same way. So I guess I'm going to start by saying it's not well understood. And what do I mean by that? I mean, there's a lot of people realizing that this could replace BMI, so they want to say, blood pressure works a certain way. So it's called popularizing it. They take something they think is right or they want to be right, and then they push it so a bunch of people believe it and it gets accepted that way. What is one example of that? People saying salt causes high blood pressure. I can take my blood pressure, have low blood pressure, have a can of one of the most stereotypically unhealthy things in terms of sodium content, a can of chicken noodle soup, right after it, and take my blood pressure every 5 to 10 minutes for like a few hours afterwards, and my blood pressure will remain the same or go down. So it is not caused by salt, at least not for everybody. And this is one in the African American community. The people I've interacted with, I was like a health and wellness chair in a sorority, and like and outside of that as well, but like in the African American community, it's the people I've interacted with, it's kind of well known that salt does not, like sodium does not actually cause high blood pressure, but then like and that it doesn't always, like there might be correlation, but it's not causation kind of thing, but it's popularized that way. So it's not well understood because people are popularizing misinformation. So I'd say this is kind of the big alternative to this. People I know who have high blood pressure, so that's part of my family. Part of my family has low blood pressure. Most of it has normal blood pressure, and then part of it has, my family has high blood pressure. It does go down with diet and exercise. So if we're going off of like some form of activity and exertion and just base like physical activity and healthy food intake and healthy weight, I would actually say blood pressure is better because it does change with those things. So better indicator of overall good health, because like take my grandma for example, she could eat whatever the heck she wanted, and she had low blood pressure, so I kind of take after her like that. She had low blood pressure, I have low blood pressure, and she was overweight, but she was active and healthy, and she's 92 now, and the problems she has are not physical problems. It's stuff like that. So it's kind of well, if we're saying like lower blood pressure is good, then there's at least one example of that in my family, like immediate family, of you can be overweight and still be healthy versus BMI labels. If anybody is overweight, they're not healthy. So there's wiggle room with blood pressure that accounts for lifestyle and people who are overweight but are trying. Just because someone is overweight doesn't mean they're gaining weight. They can be holding steady or losing weight and be very healthy individuals, except for that number on the scale that correlates to a overweight or obese BMI. But they're actually healthier than a bunch of the anorexics people that have a BMI of 17 point something. Or maybe the person with anorexia has a BMI of 21, but they're still labeled healthy even though they have zero healthy habits. So I would actually, if I had to choose one, I would choose blood pressure, just because off of the people I know, both in my family and outside of my family tree, this is, it accurately reflects the person's lifestyle, where this unfairly discriminates against people who are overweight. It labels them all as bad and does not account for the fact that they're trying, or they might actually have a healthy lifestyle and be healthy except for the number on a scale. So that's my BMI versus blood pressure take.